Hello, Orland Park. I'm Dan McMillan, and we're here with another show, and simply entitled Someone That You Ought to Know. We've got a fascinating guest today. Fascinating. To my right is Mr. Phil Bell. Phil, thanks for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Phil, you've got such an incredible story of things what you're involved with right now and what you do. And it's something that I talk to, and sometimes I get a little too melodramatic about, and I talk about it more than I hope I don't overdo it. But you're a veteran.
Yes.
You're a veteran, but sometimes that word, it's sometimes people don't. We try to make them understand what it is behind being a veteran. A veteran is what veterans really mean to this country. I just don't think the appreciation is there. And let's talk a little bit about your military, your experience and what you've done, and then we'll talk about what you're doing now as on the Veterans Commission and what to help benefit not just the veterans in Orland Park, but you benefit veterans in the greater Chicagoland area, but at least the greater Southwest. So you can explain more about that. But let's talk about your experience in the military. Where did you start coming out of high school?
Well, basically, in 1993 as a junior, I knew I kind of wanted to go into the military. I was looking at a couple different things, active, or reserve or National Guard. Basically, my parents still wanted me to try going to college, so kind of sitting down with my parents, I agreed that I'd just go ahead with the National Guard and see how things went from there.
Yeah.
I ended up going to college, wasn't really for me, so I got out, and I started kind of got more involved with the National Guard as not just a weekend type of thing. Any missions that came up, deployments that came up, I was always willing to go.
Yeah.
It almost became a part of my life that I was almost considered probably more active because I was gone than I was home. I grew up, my grandfather was a World War II infantry soldier. My dad was a Vietnam infantry soldier. I grew up hearing stories during their time in the military, the good friends that they had in the military and how they were like family. And I think that just intrigued me as a kid. It's something I wanted to be part of. And, it really didn't matter if I was active or with National Guard. I just wanted to be a part of something, serving my community and serving my country.
So it's in your blood. You're saying your grandfather was in the military, World War II.
Yes.
World War II. So when you've probably heard some fascinating stories about World War II from your grandfather.
He kind of died when I was young, so I really didn't hear.
So you didn't get to
I really didn't hear the stories that stayed in my mind.
Yeah.
As a kid, I learned a little bit, but there's much I wish I was still around a little bit longer, so I could have get some more information.
Yeah. But then your father was in the Vietnam War?
Yes.
What would you call it? Was an infantryman?
Yes.
So was he in Vietnam?
Yes.
So did you sit down and talk about it with him?
Later in life,
yeah.
He opened up a lot during my childhood. Stories kind of, you kind of learn from some of the pictures, not more or less information coming from him. It wasn't until after I kind of was in the military for a while that I started realizing some of the stuff that he went through and the personal stories that he finally opened up to tell us.
That's the respect that you come to have with what those guys went through. I mean, what your father went through in Vietnam, especially because you hear the stories and you see the pictures about how it wasn't the Civil War. It wasn't a line down the middle and you were on that side, you were on that side, and that was it. It was and in the fact that you're in the Vietnam War and you're hearing stories about people back in the States that they weren't supporting you. So you're in a war, you're laying your life on the line, and who you're laying your life on the line for may not even, in the simplest terms, didn't appreciate it. So it probably did take a long time. I'm sure it did. And as you said, for your father to want to talk about it later on. So that was part of it. Your military. It's in your genes. You went into you were in the Guard.
Yes.
I think they call it sometimes. I've heard it's you're in the Guard. So where did it take you from there?
Well, basically, majorly after September 11th, we were multiple deployments. Went to Germany for a year to pool security while, the active duty went over to Iraq and that stuff. Came back home, was home for about 6 months. We got deployed out to Fort Polk to help train units that were deploying out to Iraq and Afghanistan. We had orders come up a couple times ourselves that we were going to be deployed, but for some reason they always end up getting canceled. It was at that point at Fort Polk that I kind of just was kind of fed up with, coming home and telling my employer that, okay, I'm home, put me to work for 6 months and we'll wait for the next deployment, that I had the opportunity to volunteer myself, and I actually signed up to go to Iraq with another unit.
So you signed up knowing that you were going overseas. What year was that?
This would have been 2005.
Okay, so you knew, and the Iraq War was in full force at that point?
Yes.
So you signed up knowing you were going to Iraq. What intrigued you? You always wonder about the mind, what goes through someone's mind, knowing that you're going over there to lay your life, and your life will be on the line every day.
I think the biggest thing was when especially when you were over there, is I kind of just didn't worry about it. I mean, we had too much other stuff to worry about. That I always told the younger soldiers and all that stuff, that if you end up worrying about being killed or something, then you're going to end up getting other people killed. I always said, if something does happen, you're not going to know about it.
Yes.
And I mean, kind of towards the end when I got wounded, I didn't remember most of the accident myself until I woke up in the hospital. So
you got the Purple Heart?
Yes.
Okay, so you were over in Iraq. What were your expectations, and what went beyond your expectations when you were over in Iraq?
I knew it was going to be different. We were actually assigned to work with the Iraqi forces. We worked directly with the Special Police Transition Team, which is kind of I would say it's kind of like our, FBI type of thing. Maybe not as high, but something between the regular police and something between the military. Okay. These soldiers, a lot of them were just, they took over that position because their jobs when we invaded just wasn't there any longer. So, they didn't have the skills. We had to fight the language difference. Yeah. It was hard, but I think overall, in the end, I think we did a good job at least getting them to the point where, we saw them fighting on their own a couple times, and they kind of told us to back off and let them handle it, and they did a good job. So we knew that they wanted to do what we were there to train them to do.
Yes, you were training them. Basically, it's kind of like teaching them how to fish. Instead of handing them the fish, you were trying to teach them to make their country more civilized. Yeah,
it was basically, if we could get enough of them to train, then we could start getting our soldiers back home and with their families, and, we wouldn't have that, 1 year deployment out there, come home for 6 months, and then go out there for another year. At least this, we can start limiting the number of U.S. soldiers that were out there as soon as they had the capability to take over.
So how did the civilians react? How did they treat the American military?
Overall, I would say they loved us. I mean, you had your areas that they didn't like, but they kind of kept to their own. And if they had a problem with us, they knew that the insurgents were there, and they would sooner or later do something. But I mean, there's times that we'd be patrolling the neighborhood, and somebody would step out of the back of the store and kind of tell us not to go down the street. And later on, we would find out that there was an IED down there, or there was an ambush set up. So I mean. You had to be very careful, because a lot of the things that you did that you're used to doing was offensive to the Iraqi people. So I mean, just the way you crossed your legs when you're talking to somebody could have meant the difference of them helping you or them telling the insurgents where you were going. So it's kind of weird. But I think overall, just like anybody else, once you start working with somebody, you start to gain their trust, and that's when things start to go right.
So when you're over in another country like that, it's Iraq, and we sometimes, not knowing them, being over here, you don't realize what the country's really like, and what period of time they're in, and are they really, what's the civilization like in Iraq? So how do you sum it up as far as what is the culture like in Iraq?
I think it was kind of like a third world country. I mean, it was dirty, it was smelly. I think the people still were scared. I mean, think of it if you lived under somebody's control for so many years, and if you spoke up about it, you were probably going to be killed. Even when that person's gone, you still have the fear, and it's going to be there for a while. So, I think, even with all the stuff that's going on in Iraq right now, hopefully sooner or later ISIS will get out of there, and these people, I really hope that these people could possibly move on to run their country the way they want to. And, I mean, to see people, I was there for 2 elections, and see people so excited coming out with blue ink on their fingers and that stuff for being able to vote for the first time was tremendous.
Yeah, and so you do see how much it makes you really appreciate everything we have here, and to see how much they have to appreciate such the little things. But hopefully when people see that or know about that, they come to realize how important and how absolutely wonderful we have it here in the United States, Orland Park and all nice.
I think that's one thing throughout my whole military career, being in Iraq, Panama, Korea, and just parts of Europe. You realize how good you have it here. And when you came back, and I seen friends telling me that, just from some of your deployments, you seem to grow up, decades instead of years faster.
Yes, it matures you, and it makes you appreciate everything. So, you came back after you got your Purple Heart.
Yes.
How long were you in the military after that?
Basically, from the time that I got wounded, it took about a year and a half before they finally medical boarded me out.
Okay, and then you came back to Orland Park?
Yes.
Okay, so now you've been working for a number of years with military-related organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got involved with, when I first got back, I had a lot of organizations that stepped up to the plate and made sure that if I needed something, it was going to be taken care of. And then when I finally got back on my feet, I said that, I don't have a checkbook that I can open up to write, but you know what, I have a lot of time in my hands, so if you need me to help you guys out, I'm here for you. And I started getting involved, to the point of, like I said, I've always been a person that wanted to give back to the community, and I think, being on my back, fighting my injuries for so long, I wanted to get back on my feet and kind of start doing something. And it was these other organizations that reached out and allowed me to be part of them that kind of got me back probably faster than most people thought I was going to be.
Yeah, so it gives you even more of a sense of purpose.
Yes.
So one of the organizations I know that you're with and that you're part of, because we've done some other, I've seen you in action with it, is it's the Veterans Commission for Orland Park. I'm not sure exactly.
Yes, the Orland Park Veterans Commission.
The Orland Park Veterans Commission. You're the president?
The chairman.
Chairman. So we've got the chairman here, folks. So the chairman of the Orland Park Veterans Commission, what does the Orland Park Veterans Commission strive to do? I
mean, I would say our main mission is to take care of the veterans within our community. If it's and helping the community if they're looking for, I'll kind of give a couple examples to make it easier. The Memorial Day ceremony and the Veterans Day ceremony. The Veterans Commission helps plan that, getting everything arranged, and we kind of help finance it a little bit ourselves through our budget. If schools are looking for veterans to come and talk at the schools, especially around Veterans Day and Memorial Day, or anytime there's a veterans event going on, we'll help those schools find veterans within our community that are willing to go out there. And the biggest thing is, I know it's a struggle, it was a struggle for me when I came back, is, when there's a problem, an issue, if it's the VA, if it's something else, being there to assist somebody who's going through it the first time, making sure that all the paperwork's filled out correctly, because anybody who's ever done it before knows that if you forget to cross one T or dot one I, that paperwork's going to come back to you, and now you're going to keep on mailing back and forth, and something that should have been done in a couple months is now taking years. If you could sit down with somebody and assist them and make their life easier and reduce some of their stress, then guess what? That's what we're here for. for.
So if we have a veteran out there, or somebody in a veteran's family watching today, and they have not heard of the Veterans Commission, and they'd like to get in touch with you, somebody on the Veterans Commission, how can they do that?
Well, basically, Gail Bulmer is our recording secretary. The easiest way to get in touch with her is just to give her a call, 708-349, I believe it's 3204. And
yes, it is.
She's a part-time assistant at the village, so she'll basically, for some reason, if you get her voicemail, just leave a message, and either her or somebody else from the commission will get in touch with you and see what we can do to help you out.
Okay, so the Veterans Commission, get a hold of Gail Blummer. People like Phil they spring into action to help your fellow veterans, and that's really what it comes down to. Because I keep talking about it, and there's just so much that we owe the veterans. We would not be here. We would not be here if we did not. I mean, what veterans have done. I don't know if there's any. I don't think there's any World War I veterans around, but there's not many World War II. It's called the Greatest Generation for a reason. Huh? Because in World War II, I mean, they saved this country. I mean, that's why we came through what we did and why we're here. Now, the Veterans Commission is here to help. You've got with the Veterans Commission, you do certain things during the year. You talked about the Memorial Day. You talked about the Veterans Day. You've got on April 19th the Military Collectibles Show. Let's talk about what that's going to be.
Right. Well, last year we started sponsoring. I think we've done 2 shows last year. Between the first show and the second show, I would say the number of people that showed up probably doubled. It looks like it's a great event. The popularity is growing. People are getting more interested in it. And it's something that we do to help grow our budget, to keep it so that we can have the money to help out, the soldiers that are still deployed.
Yes.
I mean, even though the war's kind of slowing down and all that stuff, there's soldiers that are still away from their family, and just receiving a care package still is something special to them. Yeah. And we need to make sure that those care packages are still out there for them. We need to make sure that, that veterans... No, not the Veterans Memorial out there in front of the Village Hall, is taken care of. I mean, we're getting to the point where it's starting to fill up, and we're looking at possibly, getting a couple pieces of extra granite, so that way into the future, veterans within the community can continue to put their name on there, and it just doesn't stop. Yeah. And the one thing about stone is, you got to make sure you get something that matches, otherwise it's not going to look good. Yeah. So we need to do it sooner than later.
Yes.
And that's a lot. There's a lot of little things out there. Some of the biggest ones is, like I talked about earlier, is getting the guys from Heinz that are in a wheelchair or blind, getting them out to the village of Orland Park, having dinner out here, playing bingo, just getting them out of the Heinz VA hospital. Yeah. And then the same with Mantino. I mean, it's great when we go out there and put on little things for them, but it's a lot nicer when they can get out of their own community for a little while, stretch their legs, and come out here and have fun.
Yeah, and really feel the appreciation that they really deserve. So when they get out here, and they and hopefully people come out en masse to really thank them for what they did.
I mean, like I said, when I was in the hospital after my injuries, I was staring at I was at Fort Carson, Colorado. They put me in my room by myself, but they put me in a window right next to the mountains in a spring day, and stuck inside doing nothing.
Yes.
And it gets to you.
Yeah,
so I know how much nice it is when you finally was able to get out of the hospital and at least walk around for a couple hours.
Very important. We're going to help out that. You're going to have on April 19th, it's the Military Collectibles Show. Is this the one where last year I was there and we got to sample the guns and everything else?
Yes, that was our first show that we had. So, like I said, it's kind of growing.
Yeah.
Basically, it goes 8 o'clock until, I believe, 1 o'clock.
8 to 1 at the Orland Park Civic Center, becoming more and more popular. So you're going to donate the proceeds from these events to vet organizations, individual veterans, and their families, which we just talked about, helping out in the community. And it also, the commission provides funding for the village's Memorial and Veterans Day ceremonies. I think that's important to let them know that there's somebody behind those ceremonies. Sometimes people just come out and they think that it just happens because the government is always going to have a ceremony for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but somebody has to do it, and that's the Veterans Commission, and that's what you do.
Yes, and we're there to help out and assist and make sure that, if anybody has a concern, that they want their opinion voiced, we'll bring it to the higher up in the village and make sure that it gets addressed.
Yes.
One of the biggest things I like to bring up, too, with the memorabilia show is over the past couple of years, we've always had people come up to us and ask us, hey, my husband had all this equipment from his time in the military. We just don't have room to store it any longer, or he's passed on, and it doesn't mean as much to me as it meant to him. What can I do with it? And I understand. I have stuff that I hold on to that just sits there, but you don't really want to throw it in the garbage.
No.
So we kind of talked about it, and what we're going to do is, if anybody's interested in making a donation of their memorabilia from their husband, be it book, pictures, field gear, stuff like that, they can call Gail and set up an appointment, and they can bring it into the village, or if needed, we can go out there and collect it from them if they can't make it to the village. And then what we'll do is we're going to start do a silent auction at this memorabilia show, where now we can take something that's been sitting around the house collecting dust of yours, and possibly somebody else who may be interested in it can start owning it and have a significant value to them too.
Yes.
And this extra money will go back towards the veterans in our community.
Yes, like we said, you support the Heinz and Mantino Vets Dinner and Bingo, District 135's patriotic ceremonies that also happen every year, and the Disabled Patriots Fund. So if anyone has any, I've got it down here: patches, uniforms, hats, books, field gear, photos, anything related to the military. So no matter how insignificant you think it is, give Gail a call. Once again, she's at 708-349-3204. And like Phil said, you can bring it in, set an appointment to bring it in, or we'll go out and we'll pick it up.
Cool.
So we'll be ready. Like we said, we want to get as much as we can for this April 19th Military Collectibles Show. So we've got... You do so many things here in the community relating to the veterans, to benefit the veterans, and not just to benefit the veterans. I think what it's important is to keep an awareness of the appreciation that the military is still so important in what we do. The military protects this country, and sometimes people think, well, we're not at war, but the threat is always there, and so you always. There was 911. It's one of those things where people talk and they say it, never forget, and you never want to forget it, and so you have to. Sometimes when the further things get out, people start to forget, and that's part, I think, what the Veterans Commission is doing, is making sure the awareness is always there.
Sure.
Now, Vietnam, which in hindsight, we're trying to honor Vietnam vets as much as we can these days. But as you know, there was a time, and I was very young at that point. I was only 10 or so, and 10 to 14 when the Vietnam War was going, and didn't quite understand what all the protests were, and that it wasn't supported. Last 10 years or so, maybe even in the last 15 years, it's been a groundswell of trying to make up for that with the Vietnam veterans. And so what we've got is that Mayor McLaughlin has committed the Village of Orland Park to be a partner in the Department of Defense Vietnam War 50th Anniversary Commemoration from 2015 to 2017. So what does that mean, Phil, that being a part of that with to honor the Vietnam War?
Well, basically, the minimum agreement that they have with the Department of Defense is the Village of Orland Park will have 2 events per year from 2015 through 2017 that honors the Vietnam era veterans. This isn't just for the veterans that actually were in boots on ground in Vietnam, but it's for the veterans that, no matter where they served, if they were in during that time frame, it's kind of a celebration for them and their families. As you always said, the families are just as much a part of the military as the individuals that wore the uniforms themselves.
Yes.
So we need to make sure we take care of that. The great thing about it is, I look at it as from, the stories my dad told me about how he was treated when he first came home.
Yeah.
It's a time for us to give back to the veterans. of that time frame and let them know that we do care about them and we haven't forgotten about them.
Yeah.
I know the biggest thing that we've got planned right now is the first week of October, the 1st through the 4th, we're going to have the Vietnam Memorial Wall back here in Orland Park.
Is that back? Is the Vietnam Memorial Walls back here?
The traveling
this year,
wall.
October of 2015.
Yes.
Very good. That's great. I remember when it was here last time, and I did a volunteer. I actually did the overnight. I think I was sitting out here from midnight till 4 in the morning or something, trying to help out, and it was touching when some of the veterans would come up or family members would come. And they would you inscribe on the you put that against the wall, and you would write that. There were people that actually knew people that were on that wall, and that was and they were kind of broken up about it, but it was deep. It really was. It was. So I'm looking forward to that. I didn't realize it was coming this year.
Yeah, it's basically it's in the beginning of phases. It's going to happen. So basically, if it's something that's of interest, make sure they continue keeping an eye out for news throughout all the Village of Orland's publications and media, such things. And the biggest thing is if you are a Vietnam era veteran, basically the mayor would ask you to. I believe the address is the Mayor's
Vietnam Vets at orlandpark.org. We'll put that on the screen. But remember, Mayor's Vietnam Vets at orlandpark.org. So go on there if you want to know more about what's coming up, and you'd like to, especially if you're a Vietnam vet and you want to get.
All you have to do is email him that with your email information, and then basically whenever an update comes out about what's going on, you'll get an email sent to you, so you'll be the first one to know.
Very good. So that's October. That's going to be, as I see here, October 1st through 4th. So right off the bat in October, the wall's here.
Yeah.
And let's really come out here and support it and show the Vietnam veterans. Like I said, it's almost like we're making up for the injustices, I think, that were done with the veterans when they came back.
Well, I know what the Vietnam veterans did for the veteran of my era.
Yeah.
When I came home just for kind of my leave halfway between my tour, when we flew into Dallas Airport, they were out there with the fire trucks shooting water over our plane. When I got off the plane, there was a line of people thanking me for being out there and all that stuff. And, I'm not a person that gets choked up a lot, and, I kind of got choked up.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to see it when we finally came home because, I came home in a hospital bed and all that stuff, high on morphine still. But, that was my coming home. And I tell the veterans now these days is, we need to make sure that we stay involved for whatever the veterans did to make the Vietnam veterans did for us, to make sure that next generation, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now when the next war comes out, that they get treated the same way we did, because otherwise we're disgracing what the Vietnam vets did for us.
Yeah, because you don't want to ever, as a veteran, you don't want to ever see anybody treated like that, how it got out of hand, people laying their lives on the line, people losing limbs and coming back and being spit on. It's something that we, that's another, we talk about 911, never forget. I don't think we ever want to forget that, how they were treated, and we really need to make up for that with them. And so we've got for the next 2 years, commemorative of the Vietnam War. I guess whatever we'll be a partner in it. So we know the wall's coming.
Yes.
And so we're going to we'll have here in Orland Park 2 events over each of the next 3 years, 15, 16, and 17.
Correct.
What do you see coming up?
We're looking at having guest speakers come up, possibly some Medal of Honor recipients from the Vietnam War, possibly come in and talk about their experience. Like I said, we want to mix and mingle. We want to have some fun opportunities. We're looking at maybe doing some events, even if it's just like a movie night in regards to, some Vietnam era movie out there at the Village Hall being played, and proceeds from that event can go help out like Agent Orange Foundation or something like that. We kind of looking at one big event, one small event every year. If something comes up and we're able to hold 2 large events, we're going to do it. We want to make this something special for those Vietnam era veterans.
Yeah, I think in the community there is quite a bit of support through the Veterans Commission. And I know over at Sandburg football team, Dave Worsall has really embraced it with the Wounded Warriors Project the last I think it's been at least the last 4 years, we've sold T-shirts and had at one of the early football games, and all the proceeds, and they were the camouflage T-shirts, and that's benefited the Wounded Warriors Project.
Well, that hasn't wounded the Wounded Warrior Project. He actually decided to stick with local organizations.
Okay.
The first 2 years, I believe, it was Homes for Heroes.
Yes.
It was a local organization that helps, if they need any rehab done on their house or retrofitted to their handicap disabilities, they would help the soldier, the veteran with that, because the VA only gives you so much money to do that a lot of it comes out of your pocket. And then this year, for the first time, they went with the Disabled Patriot Fund, which is an organization that helped me out a lot. And I kind of want to put it out there if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Disabled Patriot Fund is an organization that they help out the soldiers that are coming back wounded that has any financial trouble. A lot of times when you come back, you might be going through PTSD, some physical handicaps, and it takes a while for the VA to finally start your payments for disability. That whole process can go anytime from 6 months to 2 years. And during that time, if you can't work, you don't have any money coming in. So they'll step in and make sure that you keep your water running in your house, the heat stays on, this and that you don't lose your car if needed. There's a lot of events going on, and it's been slowing down recently over the past couple years. So if it's something that interests you, the organization is out of Orland Park here, and their website is disabledpatriotfund.com. Keep an eye on it, and just check it every so often of all of our new events. We got ones we're trying to make more almost every month, and our big one is in June, I think towards the end of June or beginning of July. We have our annual golf outing, which will be held at Silver Lakes this year.
Let's support that. So Disabled Patriots Fund, that is a local charity, a local fund foundation based out of Orland Park.
Correct.
Oh, so I didn't know that. So I was learning something new. So and we did it with and that's what we supported with the Sanford football game last year.
Yes.
I'm assuming Dave will keep.
The thing about that is the proceeds actually go to help just the soldiers in Illinois, the veterans in Illinois, as well as Northwest Indiana, and it's for the soldiers of post 9/11 and on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good organizations out there that do it. But when you can work with one that's
that's local, and it supports of course those in desperate need. How bad would it would it feel to lay your life on the line? I mean, really lay your life on the line, get injured, come back, and you're having a hard time. Before you can get back into normal life at that point, get back in the being employed, you have to get back on your feet. You need something. You can't. If you have a hard time paying your water bill, hard time paying your utilities, and you've got something like the Disabled Patriots Fund. So let's make sure. Go on the website, folks. Just Google it, Disabled Patriots Fund. I'm sure it'll take you right there. So, Phil, you're very involved with that one?
Yes, I'm on the advisory board for them. It was like I said, it was one of the organizations that stepped up when I first got home, came knocking on my door, asking how they can help. And it took a lot of stress off me during the time when I needed a little extra help, but at least I knew they were there if I needed it. And, I think, like I said, it got me back involved in helping out, and there's nothing better than being able to get on the phone with somebody who's going through some of the same struggles I had and let them know that, hey, we're here to help. Let that stress, just flick it off your shoulder, and you can continue to move on just like I did.
Well, it's got to be rewarding because you were on the other side, and now you're able to help the veteran who's went through the same stuff that you went through.
Yeah, and I think sharing the stories with each other actually allows them to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's it. So it's some great stuff. Anything else in terms of that we haven't talked about today, that the folks at home can go online and look at? I mean, we've talked about the Disabled Veterans Fund. We've talked about the Vietnam celebration or commemorations that we're going to have for the next 2 years, with especially which is I'm very excited to hear that the wall's coming in October 1st through 4th. And we've talked about the Veterans Commission, all the great things that you guys are doing. We've got on April 19th the Military Collectibles show coming, folks. So make sure you get a hold of Gail Blummer at 349-3204, 708-349-3204. with anything you have related to the military to donate, because this is a very important show that the benefits come through the Disabled Patriots Fund, which we just talked about, the Heinz and Mantino Vets Dinner and Bingo, District 135's Patriotic Ceremony. So there's so many things to do to give back and say thank you to those that defended us, the reason we're here. So is there anything we've missed that we haven't touched upon?
One other organization I'd like to bring up, because I am a man that wears many different hats.
Yes, sir. Yes, you do.
It's an organization that basically, kind of got me off my, out of the house and out there doing something that I always enjoyed in my life, which was golf. Orland Park is, the golf capital of the world,
yes,
supposedly. But this organization is called Freedom Golf Association. And what they do is they help special needs as well as disabled individuals learn the game of golf or relearn the game of golf and play it with their disabilities. They helped me get back on to where I wasn't. When I first came home, I thought I'd never swing a club again in my life, the back problems I was having. They got me out there practicing, teaching me how to swing with my back issues, and about a year and a half ago, they allowed me to take the training to become an adaptive golf coach, and now I'm out there helping the special needs individuals, as well as, we've been working with stroke victims that are, veterans. Guys in their 40s that had strokes who loved being out there, and now they thought they'd never be able to do it, and we continue to do it. It's a growing organization. It's basically, south side, north side. We're trying to build ourselves up in the Chicagoland area. If anybody knows anybody that could use the help, or if there's anybody out there that just loves the game of golf and is willing to donate some of their time as a volunteer or become an adaptive golf coach, they can go online and look at fgagolf.org and get as much. Yes.
.org.
Correct. And get whatever information they want. Feel free to give them a call, and they'll give you a call back and see what you can do about either getting your individual out there for some clinics or you coming out and helping us teach.
Now, what's it called? Freedom Golf?
Freedom Golf Association.
Okay, so Freedom Golf Association. You can always Google it, because I sometimes you don't always remember the site you're going to. But if you put in Freedom Golf Association, Phil's picture immediately pops up, and it takes you to put you into another world, and you want to help, and you want to become a coach, and you want to get out there. But just another thing you're doing. You're doing so many things, Phil. I don't think that the veterans have a hard time repaying you, but I'm sure you feel the satisfaction in your heart of being able to help out in the community and give back to those who helped you when you were basically were virtually on your back.
Yeah, it's nice to be at a point in my life where I can actually go out and do something that I really love, enjoy doing, and not being stuck behind a desk doing something that I really hate. I walk away from some of these things with a bigger smile than the people that we're helping, and that's when you're doing something good.
So, you're a veteran. You're helping veterans. Just to get a little bit get to know Phil Bell, the man. Give me a couple of your favorite war movies, military movies.
I've always enjoyed Platoon.
Yeah,
that was kind of one thing I think brought me and my dad together. You gotta love Forrest Gump. It's not just a war movie, it is, and it's a big Vietnam era movie. I think Pearl Harbor was great.
Yeah, very good. There's so many good ones.
There's a lot out there. I just kind of, I'm hesitant to watch some just because I don't know where I am with a lot of them, how I would react. So it's kind of, it's sad that I kind of put a lot of them on the hold now, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, things like Deer Hunter, it gives you a different perspective of the Vietnam War, and there's so many out there. Then Stripes puts a comedic aspect to military, but it's all part of it. Sometimes you have to laugh to learn, and that's partly what it is. So we want to thank you for coming out today. You do. I can't. I keep talking about how much the respect I have for veterans, and here we are. You, a veteran. We have you in the flesh here, so I talk about it a lot. And I don't think I'll ever, it's not just the money, though. The important part is to raise as much as you can in different organizations to help the veterans that are really in need. but it's time that you can give. It's just sometimes it's just the appreciation. Like you said, when they come from Manteno and they're able to get out and if somebody can come up and say thank you for what they did, it kind of makes it a little more all worthwhile. So, is there anything else that you want that we haven't touched upon today regarding the veterans, regarding the military, regarding what Orland Park does and can do to help out everyone?
The biggest thing is I mean, if you know of a veteran that needs help, let us know. Or if you are a veteran and you'd like something to happen in Orland that's not going on, let us know that information, because if we don't know of something what the people of Orland Park want, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And there's only so many minds. My mind doesn't work at 100% all the time.
Yes.
So we need to hear from others.
Yes, that's it. So we're going to see Phil out there April 19th for the military Collectibles show. We'll see him all at all these different events. We want to see everyone on Memorial Day out here at the village, right outside the village hall, to commemorate Memorial Day. So there's so many things coming up. And golf outing, it comes up when, Phil?
I believe it's the beginning of July.
Okay, it's on the web. Is it on the website?
It will be on the website shortly. If it's not up there now, DisabledPatriotFund.com.
Okay, so Disabled Patriots Fund has the golf outing over at Silver Lake, and we love to support Silver Lake. They always do so much in the community for all of these outings, including the Gridiron Golf Classic that we'll talk about on another show. But I want to thank you for everything you do. The last thing I'll ask you, Phil, because you are a man, someone that you ought to know, Orland Park. Question we always like to end with: Beatles or Stones?
I would have to say Beatles.
Okay, that's good. There's no right or wrong answer, but it's just there. It just commemorates us. So the Beatles are, from that. Actually, they were out there even before the Vietnam War.
But I think the White Albums grabbed me.
Yes, the White Album will grab you and it won't let you go. But so Beatles fan right here, Phil Bell, someone you should know. Make sure you get a hold of him and come on out and help us. Help us say thank you to those that served and for the reason we're here. So, Phil, I want to thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you. I'm Dan McMillan. We're here for someone that you ought to know. We're here for Orland Park TV. We want to thank Mayor McLaughlin. Thank you for being here. I'm Dan McMillan, and good night.